Hearts Full of Midnight, Chapter 8. I gave her the look that said her answer had better be a good one as I asked, "At what?" "At him." She sipped her tea and considered the murky brown in the cup much as I had my cigarette. I wondered what she saw there, if anything. "I married him because I wanted comfort. Security. Every girl wants that, right?" "I know a few who don't, but sure, most do." "Well, I wish I could be one of those kinds of women, taking my fun where I can find it. But that's not me. I'm not that woman. Denton's good looking, and he has a good job. It's not much, but it keeps us fed and in this place." She threw her head back and looked all around, eyes not focusing on anything. She'd already seen everything there was to see of the place 1,000 times over. "Sounds like the basis for most marriages," I said. "At least, from the ones I've seen." "You've never been married, then?" "Not even close." "Well, part of it is getting to the truth. Do you know what I mean? How many lies do you tell on a date?" "Not half as many as a woman tells, but plenty."
"And why do that?"
I shrugged.
"You don't want to say it, do you?" she asked.
"Does anybody?"
She smiled then. It was genuine, but a genuine show of teeth, really. It was hard to figure her. She sounded normal one minute, and the next she was looking like she needed to be in a padded cell. But I got the impression she had the game between men and women figured, and she didn't disappoint. "And you know how hard it would be to tell the truth. When you go out with someone, you tell them a version of you so they don't run away screaming in that other direction. You talk about an idealized version of who you could be, or maybe who you want to be. It's only after you get married that two people start to learn the truth of each other. It's fun. It's like solving a crossword puzzle in the newspaper. You have clues, but those clues can mean 2 or 3 different things. It's up to you to figure out what they are and try to make the answer fit in the box you're given. It takes years. I don't know, decades even. I see these old people walking up and down the streets, still holding hands. Or not. There's an old man who comes into the shop, Mr. Sue we call him. His name isn't Sue like a lady's name. He's from Korea, barely speaks any English, but he speaks enough that he orders petunias for his wife when we have them. She's also from Korea, but when they moved here, she fell in love with the vases full of flowers. She wants cut flowers like the American women get here, he says. When they met, he probably didn't know this about her. He had to find it out. Maybe it took years to learn it, but now he knows it. It's become part of their routine. You know? He goes out, he buys her flowers.
"Denton doesn't buy you flowers?" I asked.
"That's not the point. Come on, Mr. Hardwood. You came here to get answers, and I'm giving them to you. And you're smarter than this. It's why I hired you."
I decided to cut the baloney and give it to her straight. "Okay, I'm going to assume your husband isn't all that complicated." She had a mouthful of tea when I said this. She snorted through her nose and swallowed with a single painful gulp.
Well, that's an understatement. Mr. Hardwood, as impossible as it may sound, Denton didn't lie a single time to me on any date we ever went on. Not only didn't he lie, but by the time we were married, I knew everything there was to know about him. Everything.
"And so there was nothing for you to learn over the years. But how do you know that? It could be that he has 1 or 2 surprises up his sleeve for you."
She shook her head. "No, he doesn't. I know everything already. I know his favorite color, his favorite baseball team, what he likes for dinner, who he votes for in elections. I even know about a time he went whitewater rafting with his uncles in Missouri and nearly drowned. Everything. There is nothing he can say or do that I don't predict before it happens, because there is nothing new to report. It never occurs to him to do it differently either, and every time I've tried to get him to change up his routine, he just smiles and keeps doing what he's doing. He won't listen. She looked down into her lap at the cup. There was a sip left and she drained it. Break time was over, I guessed. That's what I'm terrified of, Mr. Hardwood. I'm terrified that this is all there's ever going to be. Do you know what that can do to someone? To know everything about another person that quickly? To never get the adventure everyone else gets of discovering the real person beneath the skin of the man they married? It gets to me sometimes, and I occasionally do crazy things as a result. I'm sorry I dragged you into one of those episodes. She tried to go around me, but I stopped her with a hand on her arm. Why don't you just leave then? I asked. I already knew the answer to that too, but I asked it anyway, and she answered it because it was the thing to do. Because it's like you said, Mr. Hardwood, there's a lot to like. I know how lucky I am. I'm not a fool. The next one might not be as nice or as hardworking. Or worse. She was halfway around the corner when I called out, "You'll think of something, Mrs. Burgess. I know you will." She paused a moment, as if in thought, and then continued on her way.